Pleasant afternoon, Math Wizards. We are now halfway towards the end of our lessons on radicals. Today, we will discuss operations on radicals. Let's start first with addition and subtraction of radicals. So, let us find the sum or difference and make sure that we will simplify first the given radicals. Okay, so with number 1, we can now combine, add or subtract radicals if they have the same radicals. So if they are similar. So when we are pertaining to similar radicals, we have the same order and the same radicand. So for number 1, they are similar because the two given terms have square root of 6 as their common radicals. So we can now combine 3 and negative 2. So the same as what we did when we are combining polynomials. So they need to be similar for us to combine them. So we just need to have 3 minus 3, 3 minus 2, and then copy square root of 6. So you will be having 3 minus 2 is 1, square root of 6. So therefore, the final answer is just square root of 6. So if the coefficient is just 1, we will no longer write 1 as a coefficient. So we will just have square root of 6 as our final answer. So now let's move on to number 2. So these two given terms are already in simplest form, and they are also similar. So they have the same square root of 5. So we will just combine 2 plus 2 times the square root of 5. So we will be having 4 square root of 5 is our final answer. Now let's move on to number 3. So with number 3, that is 4 square root of 10 square root of 7 plus 2 square root of 63. So in this case, 10 square root of 7 and 2 square root of 63 is not similar. So we need first to simplify square root of 63, and let us try to consider, later we will evaluate if it is similar with 10 square root of 7. So we will be having 2 square root of 63 will be simplified. So we have 10 square root of 7 plus 2 square root of 63. 63 can be written in the form of factors in such a way that one of the factors is a perfect square. So it could be 9 times 7. So we can now simplify square root of 9. So that will be 10 square root of 7 plus 2 times, move out 9. So that will be the same as 3 squared. So 3 squared, square root of 3 squared, we will get 3 square root of 7. So multiply the coefficient 2 and 3. So that is 10 square root of 7 plus 6 square root of 7. So now this is the time that we can combine 6 and 10. So that is 10 plus 6 square root of 7. So 10 plus 6 is 16 square root of 7. So that is the final answer, 16 square root of 7. Moving on, let's have number 4. So based on the given, square root of 15 is already in simplest form, while negative 6 square root of 60 is also not in simplest form, so we need to simplify square root of 60 first. So 15 square root of 15 minus 6, and then 60 can be factored out with 15 times 4. So that is 15 times 4. So now we will have square root of 15 minus 6, and then we have 4 as a perfect square, so we can rewrite it as 2 squared. So we can now move out 2 outside the radical, so that will be 2 square root of 15. So that is now square root of 15 minus 2 times 6 is equal to 12 square root of 15. So in this case, they are now similar. We can now combine the two radicals, so it will become 1 minus 12, quantity 1 minus 12 times the square root of 15 So now it is negative 11 square root of 15. 1 minus 12 is negative 11. Therefore, the answer is negative 11 square root of 15. Let's have more examples. How about if we have 2 square root of 32 minus 3 square root of 18? Both of the radicals can be in simplest form. So, 2 square root of 32 can be written as 16 times 2. Same as what we have with 3 square root of 18. 18 can be written as 9 times 2. So in this case, we can have the exponential form of 16, that is 4 squared times 2 minus 3 times 3 squared times 2. Therefore, 4 squared has the same order with the radical, so we can move it out. So, copy the coefficient 2, then move out 4 square root of 2 minus 3 times, since 3 squared has the same order, has the same value with the order, which is 2. So that is now the square root of 3 squared is 3. The remaining term inside the radical will be square root of 2. So now, we can simplify 2 times 4 is 8 square root of 2 minus 9 square root of 2. So in this case, the square root of 2 is the similar term for similar radical for the two terms. So we can now combine 8 minus 9 quantity square root of 2. So the answer will be negative 1 square root of 2. 8 minus 9 is negative 1 times square root of 2. So the answer is negative 1 square root of 2. So for number 6, so we have negative 4 square root of 28 plus 4 square root of 112. Okay, so in this case, we can now simplify square root of 28, and that is 4 times 7 plus 4 square root of 112 is the same as 16 times 7. So in this case, we can now get the square root of the perfect square factors in the radicand. So that is negative 4. Square root ng 4 is 2. So that is 2 square root of 7. Plus 4 square root of 16 is 4. Square root of 16 is 4. Square root of 7. So simplifying, we will multiply with the coefficient negative 4 times 2 is negative 8 square root of 7. Plus 4 times 4 is 16 square root of 7. So based on the given, we can now have two radicals that are similar. Negative 8 square root of 7 and 16 square root of 7 are similar now. So we can combine negative 8 plus 16 square root of 7. So the answer now will be positive 8 square root of 7. Negative 8 plus 16 is positive 8 times square root of 7, so that is 8 square root of 7. Moving on, let's have number 7. So we can now have the simplest form of negative 4 square root of 16, 160. So 160 is 16 times 10 minus 2. Square root of 90 is 9 times 10. So we can now simplify 16 and 9 outside the radical. So we will be having negative 4 times 4. Square root of 16 is 4. Square root of 10 minus 2. Square root of 9 is 3. Square root of 10. Okay, so that is negative 4 times 4 is negative 16. Square root of 10. Negative 2 plus times 3 is negative 6. Square root of 10. So now we will combine the 2. We'll now have negative 16 minus 6 square root of 10. So that is equal to negative 16 minus 6 is negative 22 square root of 10. So that will be our answer. Okay, so in this case, 4 square root of 45 plus 3 square root of 245. Those can be written in simplest form. So 4 times 9 times 5 is the factors of 45. And with 245 is 49 times 5. Okay, so in this case, we will simplify 4. Square root of 9 is 3. So we will multiply 4 by 3. Square root of 5 plus 3 times 49. Square root of 49 is 7. So 3 times 7, square root of 5. So we will multiply 3 and 2. We will be having 4 and 2. So we will be having 12. Square root of 5 plus 7 times 3 is 21, square root of 5. So we will now combine 12 plus 21, quantity square root of 5. And combining 12 and 21, we will be having 33. So 33 square root of 5 will be our final answer. How about if we have 3 radicals? So in this case, we can only combine those terms that have the same radicals or similar radicals. So with the given, negative 2 square root of 10 minus 3 square root of 6 minus 2 square root of 10, we can only combine negative 2 square root of 10 and negative 2 square root of 10. So we can have negative 2 minus 2 square root of 10 minus 3 square root of 6. By associative property, I can move negative 2 with the one that is similar to it. So negative 2 square root of 10 minus 2 square root of 10 is the same as negative 2 minus 2 square root of 10 minus 3 square root of 6. So you will be leading with negative 4 square root of 10 minus 3 square root of 6. And this will be our final answer since negative 4 square root of 10 and negative 3 square root of 6 are not similar radicals. So therefore, we can leave as is. So the final answer will be negative 4 square root of 10 minus 3 square root of 6. Let's have number 10. So we are to combine 2 square root of 7 plus 5 square root of 3 plus 4 square root of 7. Again, we can only combine those that are similar. So we can combine 2 square root of 7 plus 4 square root of 7 plus 5 square root of 3. So we can combine these two radicals. So it will be 2 plus 4 quantity square root of 7 plus 5 square root of 3. Combining the two, we will be having 2 plus 4 is 6 square root of 7 plus 5 square root of 3. Again, 6 square root of 7 plus and 5 square root of 3 are not similar radicals. So we can just leave as is. So the final answer will be 6 square root of 7 plus 5 square root of 3. Moving on, we will have number 11, negative 3 square root of 15 plus 18 minus 3 square root of 3. Okay, so we have the first two terms as radicals that we can be written in its simplest form. So we have negative 3 square root of 50 can be written as 25 times 2 plus 18 can be written as 9 times 2 minus 3 square root of 3. It is already in simplest form. So let us continue. Negative 3 times square root of 25 is 5. And 2 is not a perfect square, so we cannot get the square root of 2. So leave as is, square root of 2. Plus square root of 9 is 3 square root of 2 minus 3 square root of 3. So simplifying, we'll be having negative 15 square root of 2 plus 3 square root of 2 minus 3 square root of 3. Okay, so we can combine those with similar radicals. So that is negative 15 square root of 2 and 3 square root of 2. So you will be having a negative 15 plus 3 square root of 2 minus 3 square root of 3. So combining negative 15 plus 3, that is negative 12. Negative 12 square root of 2 minus 3 square root of 3. So this is now our final answer. Number 12, we have 2 square root of 8 plus 4 square root of 96 minus square root of 24. So now we can simplify those terms that can be written in simplest form. So 2 square root of 8 is 4 times 2 plus 4 Square root of 96 can be written as 16 times 6 minus 24 can be written as 4 times 6. Okay, so simplifying, we will be having 2. Square root of 4 is 2. Square root of 2 plus 4. Square root of 16 is 4. So times 4. Square root of the remaining, which is 6. Square root of 6 minus square root of 4 is 2. Square root of 6. So simplifying further, you will be having 4 square root of 2. 2 times 2. Plus 4 times 4 is 16 square root of 6 minus 2 square root of 6. Therefore, we can only combine 16 square root of 6 minus 2 square root of 6. So we will be leading to 4 square root of 2 plus 16 minus 2 square root of 6. Simplifying, we will be having 4 square root of 2 plus 14 square root of 2. So this is the final 14 square root of 6. So this will be the final answer. 4 square root of 2 plus 14 square root of 6. Now let's have multiplication and division of radicals. Multiply the coefficient and multiply the radical. Coefficient to coefficient and radical to radical. And we can write it in simplest form. So let's have number 1. So the coefficient of square root of 8 here is 1. So therefore, 1 times negative 3 is equal to negative 3 square root of 8 times 2. So the answer now will be negative 3 square root of 16. The answer is negative 3 times square root of 16 is 4. So negative 3 times 4 is equal to negative 12. With number 2, so there is a coefficient for 3 which is 1 times the coefficient of negative square root of 2 is negative 1 times the square root of 3 times 2. Again, coefficient to coefficient, radicand to radicand. So we will have negative 1 square root of 3 times 2 is 6. So the answer now will be negative square root of 6. Next is number 3. We will multiply 5 coefficients first. 5 times negative 7. And then we will multiply the radicand. 10 times 12. So we will have 5 times negative 7 is negative 35. The square root of 120. And we can simplify 120. So we can factor out 12 here. So that is 4 times 3. And we have 10 here, 5 times 2. So in this case, the only factor that we can move outside the radical is 4. So you will be having negative 35 to the square root of 4 is 2. Square root of 5 times 2 times 3 is 60. 5 times 2 times 3 is 30. So the answer will be multiplying 35 times 2, the answer will be negative 70 square root of 30. So this will be the final answer. Number 4, we have negative 4 times 2 square root of 14 square root of 14 times 8. We can factor out 14, that is 7 times 2, so that we could easily get the simplest form of the radical. So we no longer need to multiply the two numbers. So we just get the factored form. So that is 4. So that one of the factors is a perfect square. So we can now have the square root of 7. 2 times 2 is 4 times 4 equal, this will be 4 negative. You'll just copy the coefficients, negative 4 times 2. So you will be having negative 8, and based on the given, this 2 will be 4 squared. So the square root of 4 squared is the same with 4 square root of 7, or possible, square root of 4 is 2, square root of 4 is 2, square root of 4, the other square root of 4 is 2 as well. So 2 times 2 is 4. So you will be leading to 4 as well. So the answer now will be negative 32 square root of 7. Next, let's have number 5. So 4 square root of 6n squared times the square root of 6n. So multiply coefficient to coefficient. 4 times 1 square root of 6 times 6 n squared times n. Okay, so now it will be 4. We have 6 times 6 is 6 squared. So we can move 6 squared. So the order is the same with the power. So we can move 6 outside. So that is simply 6 square root of n squared times n. So n as well has power which is equal to 2 and the same order with the radical which is 2 as well. So we can move out 2 squared. So that is 4 times 6 is 24. This n squared will be moving out. So n na lang siya, square root of n. So the answer is 24n square root of n. Let's move on and have number 6. So negative 5 times 3 square root of 20 times 15 times x times x. So again, we have negative 15. Square root of 20 is the same as 4 times 5 and 15 is 3 times 5. X times x is x squared. So negative 15 square root of 4 is the same as 4 is 2 squared. And we have also here 5 times 5. We will be having 5 squared times 3x raised to 2. Okay, so negative 15 times the square root of 4 is 2. 5 squared, square root of 5 squared is 5. And the square root of x squared is x. And the remaining term inside the radical is 3. So square root of 3. And then we will multiply these 4 terms. So we will be having negative 15 times 2. Negative 15 times 2 times 5 is plus negative 150 x square root of 3. And that is our final answer. Number 7, you will have 2 times 1 square root of 15 times 3 w is raised to 3 w raised to 4. Okay, so we will have 2 square root of 15 is 3 times 5 and times 3 raised to you will just add the 2 exponents. So 3 w raised to 7. 3 plus 4 is 7. Okay, so you will have 2. 3 times 3 is 3 squared or 9. Square root of 9 is 3. So that is 2 times 3 outside. And 7 divided by 2 is equal to 3. Remainder 1. So x will have, w will have an exponent 3 outside the radical. So raised to 3. Square root of 5. W will have an exponent 1 because that is the remainder when we divide 7 by 2. So the exponent of w inside the radical is 1. So the simplest form will be 6w cubed square root of 5w. This will be our final answer. Now, number 8, we will multiply 7 times negative 2 square root of 12 times 6 a raised to 3 times a. Okay, simplifying, we will have negative 14 and 12 is the same as 2 times 6 times 6 and you will have a raised to 4. Simplifying further, you will be having negative 14. 6 times 6 is 36, or 6 squared. So we can now move out. So the square root of 36 is 6. And 4 divided by 2, you will have the answer, which is 2, remainder 0. So a will have an exponent 2 outside the radical. A squared, square root of a. Square root of the remaining numbers inside the radical will be 2. And a will have 0 exponent inside the radical because there is no remainder when we divide 4 by 2. So you will just have 2 inside the radical. So the answer now will be 14, negative 14 times negative 14 times 6 is 84. So you will have negative 84 a squared, square root of 2. So this will be our final answer. So how about if we are to multiply a monomial to a binomial? So since the same with the principle of multiplying polynomials, so we can distribute square root of with the given square root of 15 times the binomial 2 plus square root of 5. So we will just distribute. So 2 square root of 15 plus square root of 15 times 5. So you will need to 2 square root of 15 plus square root of that is 3 times 5. 15 is 3 times 5 times 5. So we'll have 5 squared here. So simplifying further, you will have 2 square root of 15 plus square root of 5 squared is 5 square root of 3. So the answer now will be 2 square root of 15 plus 5 square root of 3. Number 11. Number 12. So you have square root of 3 square root of 10 times the quantity 5 plus 4 square root of 2. So we will just multiply 3 times 5, 3 times 5 square root of 10 plus 4 times 3 square root of 10 times 2. So you will have 15 square root of 10 plus 12. Square root of 10 is 2 times 5 times 2. So in this case, we have 2 times 2 is 2 squared or 4. So the square root of 2 squared or 4 is 2. So we will just copy. So 10 15 square root of 10 plus 12 times 2 square root of 5. So the remaining term inside the radical is 5. 15 square root of 10 plus 24 square root of 5. This will be the final answer now. Now let's continue. Let's have negative 2 square root of 3 times the quantity 3 square root of 10 minus 3 square root of 6. So we will just distribute. You will have negative 2 square root of 3 times 3 square root of 10 minus negative 2 square root of 3 times negative 3 square root of 6 plus 3 square root of 6. So continue. We will have negative 2 times 3 is 6. Square root of 3 times 10 is 30 minus negative 2 times negative 3 is 6. So times negative will become positive 6. Square root of 3 times 6 is 18. So we will have negative 6 square root of 30 plus 6. Square root of 18 is 9 times 2. So it will be negative 6 square root of 30 plus 6 times 3 square root of 2. So now we will lead to negative 6 square root of 30 plus 18 square root of 2. So this will be the final answer. Number 14, we will distribute again. So we will have negative 14 square root of 2 times square root of 6 plus 3 square root of 14 times negative 4 square root of 2. So we will now have negative 4 square root of 12 plus negative 12. So negative 12 now. Negative 12, 3 times negative 4 is negative 12. Square root of 14 times 2. So let us now simplify the radicals. So that 12 is 4 times 3 minus 12. 14 is 7 times 2 times 2. So in this case, negative 4. Square root of 4 here will be equal to 2. Square root of 2 minus 12. 2 times 2 will be 2. Square root of 7. The square root of 2 times 2 or square root of 4 is 2. So simplifying, you will lead to negative 8 square root of 2 minus 24 square root of 7. And this will be our final answer. How about if we are to multiply a binomial to a binomial? Again, we will be using FOIL method. So when we say FOIL method, that is first term, that is square root of 5 times square root of 5. Outer is 2 square root of 5. Square root of 5 times 4. Inner, that is 2 times square root of 5. Last terms will be 2 times 4. We will multiply, so you will lead to square root of 25, square root of 4 square root of 5. That is 2 square root of 5. And the product of the last terms will be 8. So square root of 25 is 5. So we will now combine similar terms. So we will be having 4 square root of 5 plus 2 square root of 5 plus 2 square root of 5 plus 5 plus 8. So that is simply 6 square root of 5 plus 13. So this will be our final answer. Again, for number 16, we will be using FOIL method since the two given are binomial. So the product of the first term, square root of 2, square root of 2. The product of the outer, square root of 2 and 5. The product of the inner, negative 6 and square root of 2. The product of the last term, negative 6 and 5. So we will multiply. The first terms will be the product of the first terms is square root of 4, which is 2. The product of the outer will be 5 square root of 2. The product of the inner is negative 6 square root of 2. And the product of the last terms will be negative 30. So combining, we will be having 5 square root of 2 minus 6 square root of 2 plus 2 minus 30. Simplifying, we will lead to negative square root of 2 plus negative 28. So minus 28. So we will be arranging it. So it will be the same with 28, negative 28 minus square root of 2. This will be the final answer. Number 17. So again, we will be using FOIL method. So the first terms will be 6 square root of 3 times 5 square root of 3. Outer will be 6 square root of 3 times negative 4. Inner, that's 2 times 5 square root of 3. Last terms will be negative 2 times negative 4. Okay, so now we will multiply. So we will have 30 square root of 9, and that is 30 times 3 equal to 90. So you will have negative 24 square root of 3. You will have 10 square root of 3. We have negative 8, positive 8. So 90 plus 8 minus 24 square root of 3 plus 10 square root of 3. So we will now have 98 minus 14 square root of 3. So this will be our final answer. With number 18, that is square of a binomial. So that is simply the square of the first term. The square of the first term, let's say this is a plus b, and we are to square it. So based on the special product, square of the first term plus twice the product of the first and the second term plus square of the last term. So that is simply 2 square root of 7 squared plus 2 times 2 square root of 7 times 1 plus 1 is 2. Simplifying, 2 squared is 4. Square root of 7 squared. Square root of 7 squared is 7 plus 2 times 2 times 1 is 4. Copy the radical, square root of 7 plus 1 squared is 1. So now it is 28. 4 times 7 is 28 plus 4 square root of 7 plus 1. 28 plus 1 is 29 plus 4 square root of 7. So this will be our final answer. Let us have the quotient. Based on the given, we can get first the square root of 49 over the square root of 100. That is equal to 7 over square root of 100 is 10. So the answer will be 7 over 10. With number 2, we have the square root of 8 over the square root of 32. Or we can have this one in simplest form. So this is already, the common factor is 8. So that is 1. 8 divided by 8 is 1. 32 divided by 8 is 4. So that is simply the square root of 1/4. So we can have the square root of 1 is 1. Square root of 1 over the square root of 4. That is simply square root of 1 is 1. Square root of 4 is 2. The answer is 1/2. With number 3, we cannot get the simplest form of 3 over 16. So we will just leave as is. So square root of 3 over the square root of 16. That is equal to the square root of 3 over the square root of 16 is 4. So the answer is square root of 3 over 4. With number 4, we can also get the lowest term of this, but for us to have an easier way of solving this, we can have square root of 7 over the square root of 49. The answer will be square root of 7 over square root of 49 is 7. 7 square root of 7 over 7. With number 5, we can have the common factor, which is 5. So 10 divided by 5 is 10 divided by 5 is 2. So square root of 2 all over 45 divided by 5 is 9. So square root of 9. Simplifying, we will have square root of 2 over the square root of 9 is 3. Square root of 2 over 3 is the answer. Now let's have the numerator. Let us have number 6, square root of 12 over the square root of 36. So the square root of 12 is the same with 4 times 3 all over the square root of 36 is 6. So square root of 4 is 2. Square root of 3 all over 6. So the answer is 2 square root of 3 over 6. How about if we have the square root of 96 over 3? So let us divide first. 96 divided by 3 is 32. So that is simply square root of 32. If we divide 96 by 3, that is 32. Simplifying, that is simply 16 times 2. So we can get the square root of 16. That is 2. That is 4. square root of 2. So this is the answer. With number 8, so we can divide 108 divided by 6. The answer is 18. So 7 square root of 18 will be the answer. Or this is simply 7 square root of 108 divided by 6. So we can lead to 7 square root of 18. So simplifying 7 square root of 18, so 7 square root of 9 times 2. So square root of 9 is 3, so 7 times 3 square root of 2. Multiplying 7 and 3, you will lead to 21 square root of 2. The answer now will be 21 square root of 2. With number 9, that is 3 square root of 5 over 9, we can divide 3 square root of 5 over 45. So now we will have 3, that is the common factor between 5 over 45 is 5. So this will be dividing by 5. You will have 1 over 45 divided by 5 is 9. So moving forward further, so you will have square root of 3 times square root of 1 over 9 is simply square root of 1 over square root of 9. That is 3. 1 over square root of 9 is 3 as well. So 3 times 3 is 1. So the answer now will be 1. With number 10, let us simplify. So 4 over 3 square root of 15 over 27. The common factor here is 3. So 5 divided by 3 is, or 15 divided by 3 is 5. 27 divided by 3 is 9. So our answer now will be 4 over 3 times the square root of 5 over the square root of 9. Simplifying, we will lead to 4 square root of 5 over 3 times square root of 9 is 3. So it will be 4 square root of 5 over 9. This will be the final answer. For number 11, that is 10 square root of 48 over 2. So 10 divided by 2 is 5. Square root of 48 divided by 3. 48 divided by 3 is 16. So you will have 5 square root of 16. And square root of 16 is 4. So 5 times 4, the answer is 20. Number 12. So 3 over 15. So there is a common factor which is 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 15 divided by 3 is 5. And with 84 divided by 7, the answer is 12. So this is 12. This is 1. So now it is the square root of 12 over 5. And 12, square root of 12 is the same as 4 times square root of 4 times 3 over 5. Now it will lead us to square root of 4 is 2, square root of 3 all over 5. So this will be the final answer. I hope you have learned something about our lesson for today. See you again on our next video lesson.
Like, share, and comment your suggestions on the comment box below, and don't forget to subscribe. To get notified with our latest videos, just click the notification bell.